the stakes raised that much higher than they were last weekend, with a spot to Super Bowl 50 on the line and the New England Patriots in town.
Rookie shortstop Trevor Story burst onto the scene, setting records and making it look easy. But the final chapter may already be penned on what could have been a Rookie of the Year season.
But Fruita native Michael Chamberlain, that dream was never really an option. He faced hurdles from the day he was born, but he's not allowing his disability to keep him away from the game he loves. Even though this is a rematch, everything is going to be different about this game. Change of venue, change of starting quarterbacks. Of course, Peyton Manning back in the lineup for the Denver Broncos.
Now, to say the Broncos defense suffered a mass exodus this offseason is an overstatement. Although losing 6'5", 300-pound defensive tackle Malik Jackson, that's a massive exodus. But then this guy showed up again, came out of the bullpen, and helped spark a comeback win over the Chargers Sunday.
You know, despite how bad this game looked at times, it was only 13-12 Pittsburgh going into the fourth quarter, so the Broncos were right in it, even though it didn't feel like it. And I looked up a stat and told Jesse, hey, the Broncos are 9-3 in games that are decided by 7 points or less this year. Speaking of the quarterbacks, those guys took center stage because we've got what's called an open competition, according to John Elway. The JUCO banquet is kind of the night where we get to see all the players cleaned up. They're all dressed up in their suits. Now, Chattahoochee Valley coach Adam Thomas takes that to a new level, and last year he wore a blue seersucker suit, but on Twitter he guaranteed me this year that he was going to one-up himself, and so I'm actually going to bring him in right now. And man, you really did one-up yourself. So first of all, I'm not a fashion media person, but I think the question I'm supposed to ask you is, who are you wearing right now?
Well, I am wearing Adam Thomas is what I'm wearing.
Paxton looks a little bit goofy, so I want to know, what exactly does that mean?
Yeah, you know, he looks like a rookie. That's the best way I can explain it. He's tall, he's lanky, and it looks like he's still trying to figure out how to get his arms and legs to work together under center. How about Peyton Manning in the third quarter, a man who is known for his lack of speed, on 3rd and 10, drops back for a pass, sees everybody on the Patriots defense drop back into coverage, and the old man takes off and scurries for an 11-yard gain. Don't doubt the old man's speed.
A 4-0. Also, I was told during my segment that I have to dip into the forget about it a little bit more. Right? Forget about it. Is that better? Okay, that's better. All right, that's all the time we have in sports. We'll be right back.
You know what? I'm cleating up. We're going to cleat up today.
Cleating up, part of the daily routine for 99% of the players here. But for Cisco's Michael Burns, it was much more than just another day at the ballpark.
The man himself right here, the man himself.
Everybody's faces were lighting up. My face was probably happier than I've been in a long time, just because I missed them a lot, and they had done so much awesome stuff that I hadn't got to see them since.
Burns was forced to spend the past 2.5 months in his hometown of Denver after being diagnosed with sarcoma, a rare form of cancer. So when the Wranglers advanced to Grand Junction, Burns knew that was his ticket to getting back in the dugout with his teammates.
And then play. And then love every second of it.
The last time I saw him, Wes Phillips was the backup catcher. And, I saw him hit 2 opposite field bombs when I was there, so I was so jacked up over that stuff. That was probably the best part about being there, was seeing all the guys how much better they've gotten.
Burns became a rally cry for the Wranglers, and the team started playing for more than wins, but also for their brother.
All right, Burns on 3, 1, 2, 3, Burns!
It definitely makes me feel like I'm in a major role still with them, and it keeps me pushing.
Everybody on this team saw, what he was sacrificing, what he was doing, and he, and I don't even like Burns. But golly, you gotta love the kid. You absolutely have to admire just not just the courage of going through what he's going through. The kid's just the toughest kid I've ever seen.
We have a pretty good, pretty special relationship, one I don't usually have with Coach, especially now since this has happened. And I don't know if he does like me, but I know he loves me.
The Wranglers were eliminated from the World Series Wednesday night, while Burns was back in Denver receiving radiation treatment. But he did get to speak to his team Wednesday before the game via FaceTime to give them one final piece of encouragement.
It's not that I was asking for mercy from them or for sympathy, but I did have to miss out on the Junior College World Series, so I just wanted to let them know that this is something they only get to do one time in their life, even if this is the last game or if they get to play 3 more or whatever it is. That's definitely made this first 15 treatments done, made it easier.
And the Wranglers took it to heart, leaving it all on the field, coming up just short in a heartbreaking 15-14 loss.
Just wish he could have made that last run with us. Not just because he was our best player, just I know what it meant to him. Special kid. He's gonna be with us for a long time.
In 1986, Kurt Schilling led the Yavapai Rough Riders to an appearance in the Junior College World Series right here in Grand Junction. Exactly 30 years later, Schilling is scheduled for a special homecoming, tabbed as the keynote speaker for the banquet. But after being fired from ESPN earlier this week, Schilling leaves JUCO chairman Jamie Hamilton and the committee with a tough decision. Just 5 months ago, it seemed the JUCO World Series hit a home run, announcing Hall of Famer Curt Schilling would be the keynote speaker at the annual banquet.
We were so excited. The gentleman played here 30 years ago, and this is a 30-year anniversary.
But now Schilling's status is up in the air after he was fired from ESPN earlier this week for a controversial post on his Facebook page, putting JUCO chairman Jamie Hamilton on the clock without a whole lot of time.
We're already been in big-time promotion and planning, and so it's in baseball terminology, it's a curveball, and we'll see how we can adjust to it and hit it to right field.
In August of 2015, Schilling was suspended from ESPN for a month for a tweet that compared Muslim extremists to Nazis. Then this week, Schilling's social media use returned to the spotlight after sharing a post about the LGBTQ community, including a picture of a large man dressed as a woman with the words, "Let him into the restroom with your daughter or else you're a narrow-minded, judgmental, racist bigot who needs to die."
We do believe they were insensitive remarks, and we're just doing our homework to make sure we do it the right way and protect the integrity of our tournament and obviously the integrity of the student athletes as they experience this.
Hamilton said they've had some polarizing speakers over the last 58 years, but not this level of polarizing, a level that would seem to be a distraction from the tournament.
We don't want it to be a showcase for other than baseball.
So now Hamilton and the JUCO committee have a choice: carry on with Schilling or pull the controversial Hall of Famer and scramble for another speaker.
My sense is we'll have a decision in the next 24 hours, but there is some legwork that we have to do based on contracts, based on some notoriety on the NJCAA's level, and then obviously what's right for us.
February 7th was a day for the Denver Broncos, a moment in time that cannot be taken from any of those in the organization. Some expected Peyton Manning to announce his final ride immediately following Super Bowl 50, but he didn't. Fast forward a month through time to March 7th, and Manning waited for his day for the right time.
I fought a good fight. I finished my football race. And after 18 years, it's time.
Time, an equation that not even the greatest athletes in the world can solve.
Four-man rushes Peyton in the pocket, hitches up, throws, pass intercepted at the 40. This is intercepted, second interception of the quarter.
Something Peyton Manning was forced to come to terms with in his 18th year in the NFL. But that's what made Monday's retirement announcement a celebration rather than a funeral.
There's just something about 18 years. 18 is a good number. And today I retire from pro football.
As time passes, Manning will be remembered for the numerous records he broke, the 2 Lombardi trophies, but it was the way Peyton handled time that made him one of the greatest to play the game.
Peyton Manning utilized every asset that God gave him to be the best football player that he could be. And that's the thing to me what sets him apart from anybody else, because he got every ounce of ability that he has.
When I look back on my NFL career, I'll know without a doubt that I gave everything I had to help my teams walk away with a win. There were other players who were more talented, but there was no one who could out-prepare me. And because of that, I have no regrets.
Manning, just a couple weeks shy of his 40th birthday, couldn't ignore Father Time, the mounting injuries, the decline in play, forcing him to say goodbye to the game he loves.
I revere football. I love the game. So you don't have to wonder if I'll miss it. Absolutely, absolutely, I will.
So yes, Father Time won again, caught up with Peyton, and he knew it. But Manning landed one last blow before taking his final bow.
I had great coaches and players. It wouldn't have been possible without that. So, Omaha.
And I mentioned all the records Manning racked up while in the league. Depending on how you want to break it down, he owns over 100 records, but let's narrow it down to a few of the highlights. The Sheriff tallied 539 passing touchdowns in those 18 years, 31 more than Brett Favre. Tom Brady and Drew Brees are tied for third on the list, and while both are still active, Brady and Brees are 111 touchdown passes behind Peyton at 428 apiece. But at this rate, Brady looks like he's going to play until he can start collecting Social Security, so who knows if that record's going to stand. But Manning also has the most career passing yards with almost 72,000, and one that I found particularly interesting is Manning has the most comeback wins with 45, but his now now, former boss John Elway was known as the comeback kid. Then there's the 5 NFL MVP awards, more than any other player, and Peyton is the first quarterback to ever lead 2 different teams to Super Bowl wins.